Welcome to HR with Heart. I'm your host, Jemima House. It's the first pod for 2026. Happy New Year to you all. Today, I'm going to be speaking on when stability becomes the risk. So, if you follow my podcast, you'll know that some of my ideas around leadership and well-being are slightly disruptive. And this speaks really to the heart of what I'm putting forward, because stability has shaped how organizations think about strength for ages. Because of course, if you're building a business, you want it to be sustainable, you want it to make money, you want it to do good, you want it to be predictable and repeatable. Because when that happens, you have control and you're able to plan. So these principles of predictability and repeatability sit underneath most HR frameworks and most operating models and people strategies. They support scale, they support consistency, and they support fairness across large, complex systems, which is really important. Obviously, the company is nothing without its people, and we want to treat people fairly. However, many of the structures that are still in place today, although they were designed with real care, no longer function optimally because the environment they're being asked to operate within has changed. So work now exists inside a far more psychologically dense landscape. There's a different pace of information. There's a very different permeability between work and life. You don't have to go back very far, maybe 50 years, if that, to remember a time when you would work outside the home, go to work, close the door, leave work, go home, and it would be a whole different thing. Now we're constantly on, we have our devices, everyone is pretty much always available. So people are carrying a different emotional and relational load now. And because they are part of the organization, the lines are kind of blurred between, are you at work? Are you at home? What's a work issue? What's a home issue? What's personal? And our systems need to catch up because everything has intensified. So the interface between human capacity and organizational design needs to be refined. Because when systems are well aligned with the humans inside them, people's strategy doesn't even really feel like a thing. It's almost invisible because it's just working. And like many things, we only notice when they're not working. When they do work well, engagement emerges naturally. Retention tends to stabilize without constant intervention. And capability within teams and individuals develops because there's spare energy available for growth. When all the energy is being used up on coping or dealing with systems that are not fit for purpose, there's very little available for growth. So, better said, when alignment drifts, the work becomes heavier. And that's just a truism. And you can try and fix it with more initiatives, more frameworks, more interventions, more specialist kind of days, and I've forgotten the word for them. But the things that are put in place to try and make work life feel easier and feel better, you can have loads of those. But if the system itself isn't supporting the people who work within it, you're fighting a losing battle. So when your system is slightly out of tune with the lived experience of the people at work, that's when things feel difficult. And this is happening a lot nowadays. This is what lots of heads of HR and heads of people are navigating. And it's not because they're doing anything wrong. It's a design threshold. So they're operating within systems that were designed before, sometimes very, very long before, like years and years ago, sometimes not even that long before. Like things are moving really, really quickly, technology-wise, AI, or so many things are just moving at the speed of light. And if we don't catch up, then it's going to be difficult. People naturally adapt. And if you think about survival instincts, obviously that's our first priority as humans. We're continuously adapting to ensure our survival, but also we adapt towards ease. If you just think about the path of least resistance within either families, within work, within communities, that's always what happens. We're just built that way. So when the system at work is managing complexity, emotion, expectation, it's a big job. And it's the people who feel that strain first. Let's face it, companies are made up of people, human beings, individuals. And that's where you'll first see it. You'll first see the issues with the system. So what's emerging now across organizations is this informal evolution. So new norms are starting to creep in, and managers are adjusting in practice way before policy catches up. And it will catch up eventually. But what will happen in that lag time? Because currently there's a misalignment. Human systems always adapt before formal systems do. So there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity for coherence, an opportunity to treat human capacity, energy, and attention as design considerations rather than downstream concerns. So rather than having to think up new initiatives that can maybe remedy or firefight a lack in energy or capacity or attention, how about if it was dealt with, attended to as a design consideration in terms of how your system was actually run? Recognizing that well-being, engagement, and performance are not separate domains, but they are outcomes of system fit. When you refine the structure that your initiatives are trying to compensate for, you won't need them anymore. Stability, when aligned, creates trust. And humans need that. When alignment lags, it creates friction that no amount of culture work can resolve. The role of people leadership now sits inside that distinction. Being the steward of sustainability is the leading edge right now. Sensing when evolution becomes the most responsible form of care, and then formalizing that. Many people leaders are already carrying the question about where the stability as it's currently structured still supports the organization that it's meant to protect. If this perspective resonates with you, you're very welcome here. These conversations are released every Monday, and you can follow the podcast so that they reach you when they land. And for now, let the question remain open. We're at the very, very beginning of a brand new year, and the possibilities are endless. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week.